Ay, vamos allá. Subtítulos, sí, ¿no? Ponemos subtítulos, si no, buena risa. Extras. Control de juego musical. No lo voy a tocar. Vamos allá. Un poco, me la he rebajado un poco. Me he rebajado la barba un poquito. Hombre, Spectrum o Amstrad. Esta carga. ¿Cuánto tiempo sin verla? Tú fíjate, me llegaba por aquí, la barba, me tapaba el cuello. O sea, que si me quita barba, dice. ¿Qué tal, Barto? Horacio Man 2.0. Sí. Ahora me parezco el de las miniaturas. Me parezco más el de las miniaturas. No, estoy afeitado, tío. Estoy afeitado. Típico que empiezas a rebajarte un poco la barba y acabas... Empieza uno a recortarse las patillas y mira, tío, sí. Me hace la cara más gorda la barba, qué bien. Eso es lo importante. A ver. ¿Y por qué me hace estos zooms? Ah, vale, que tengo que hacer el... Digo yo, ¿no?
And so, I was born. The first people I remember seeing were the old man.
¿Esto qué es? ¿El hombre bicentenario o qué?
After they'd said hello, the old man powered me down so he could install some software. I could tell they were nice people. The old man didn't give me a silly voice or stupid personality. And the old lady didn't dress me like a clown.
Ya ves.
Although for some reason,
además, el tío adelantando, por cortándose. Por ellos que voy. Y el troll ha acabado la posición que ha acabado, sé que hay coche, O sea que... No tiene pinta que es un hombre bicentenario, ¿no? Mira, como Naruto, corre igual.
Next, the old man spent a couple of hours.
Yo no sé si es el... Creo que es el Horace, que salió en Switch en el 2020 o 2019, PC me parece.
It wasn't until I saw Heather and her mother happily climbing up them that I decided it might be okay.
Salió en Steam en el 2019, creo. Y luego en Switch en el 2020, si no recuerdo mal. Y ya, bueno, pues el tiempo habitual, ¿no? 3-4 años después en Xbox.
The old man then rearranged the platforms. He told me to try to reach the other end of the room without touching the floor.
Siquiera.
Heather said the floor's made of lava, But when I
Ni lo
smiled at
conocía,
her,
tío.
she just frowned and looked away. The old lady arranged some pillows and blankets. She said it was in case I fell, but I think she just wanted it to look more like lava.
Hola, del mal este.
When I reached the other side, the old man just smiled and said, "That'll do, for
¿La
now."
tasquita? ¿Cómo? ¿La tasquita? Hostia, no sé a qué os referís. El Piggies. Hostia. My Little Pony apareció por ahí.
Days after those first lessons, the family had a big meal, and I was introduced to everyone else. The professor was the old man's brother. He was very quiet, and always seemed to just kind of stare at me. He had lived with the old man for 5 years. The house was so huge they barely saw each other. He preferred instead to stay in his room, leaving everything up to his butler, Mr. Deck, as he insisted everyone call him, although the professor always called him Anton. For a while, he called me the yellow bastard, but the old man made him stop.
Que tengo cuello,
He
dice.
thought it sounded racist.
Hola,
Mr.
Patiño,
Silver
mira.
was the old man's driver. Before he worked here, he'd gotten in with some bad people, almost the driver in a post office
Al
robbery,
estilo Tortuga.
although it all went wrong for some reason. Mr. Silton showed me a video of his band. I'm sure some people must like it, but I just found it terrifying.
Por cada sub estiro un cuello un poco más.
Then there was Alice. She was the cook. She was a nice old lady. When she was younger, she had been
No
a
me
TV
suena,
chef.
tío, no.
Then, years later, she
O-
had
o
a
soy muy
small
viejo ya,
park
o
in
hace mucho que no
Coronation
salgo.
Street. Mr. Silton said, before she worked for the old man, Alice was quite a hoarder. She kept old newspapers and bicycles, and something about a poo in a shoebox. The next morning, the old man gathered everyone together to show them what I was capable of. "What else does he do?" asked Mr. Silton.
¿Qué
The
tal,
old
George?
man smiled. "He can help around the house." "Could he help me with my newspaper collecting?" asked Alice. "I'm not sure that's a good idea," said the old lady, "but he can do all sorts of jobs." "Yeah," said Mr. Silton, "shove a stick up his ass and he can do Deck's job."
Pero bueno, ya estamos con el
"Now,
palo por el
now,"
culo.
said the old man, "we have company," pointing to some important-looking people. Two large men, both called Gary, set up what the old man referred to as lasers. He said again, I should try to get from one end of the room to the other, but I shouldn't be worried, as I had a special chip which meant no matter how damaged I was, I couldn't die. He said it was like infinite lives in a video game. But when he realized I didn't understand, he said he would explain another time.
Verás con los láseres. Entonces, ¿me van a pillar o no me van a pillar? Esto que el tutorial infinito. No fío nada.
Everybody clapped, except the important-looking men. "Not exactly a cold,
Alonso
calculated
III.
killer, is it?" said the man in black. The man in grey laughed.
¿Qué tal me gustan
"What
los zombies?"
kind of artificial intelligence was that?" he asked. "Move right, unless there's something in the way." Okay, said the old man. He turned to me and whispered, "They're going to make it quite a bit tougher, but I'm sure you'll be fine."
Hostia. Sí. Me lo puedo agachar, ¿no? Sí. ¿Podré saltar al otro lado? A ver. Sí, puedo, ¿no? No, es que tengo que saltar al otro lado. ¡No! ¡Oh! Da igual. 3 veces seguidas. Venga, 4 ya. No 4 sin 5. Una vez que te pillan... Cuando haces pop, ya me stop. Vamos. Y a ver si le pillo justo en el tempo de que... Pero no. Hostia, chaval, por arriba, tío. Hostia, vaya pico de... ha pegado esto de repente, Molaba mucho más antes. Madre mía. A ver, porque no puedo saltar mucho, por lo que se ve. No me jodas, tío. Que también nos da la parte de arriba. Esto ya no es jijiji, jajajaja, Bueno, por lo menos le veo bien el límite hasta donde llegan. Del Jumpman, tú dices de... Hostia, del Mario. Es que es un homenaje a las vigas del Mario, yo creo, Uf, chaval. Ya está, ¿no? Ya está bien, ¿no? ¿El sufrimiento o qué? ¿Qué ha pasado?
The Garys then rearranged the room one
Los
last
Gary.
time. The old man smiled. Now, there's no need to look so glum, he said. I'm still happy with everything you've done today. So this time, I was determined to do him proud.
¿Y cuándo pegamos tiros aquí? Me da a mí que ese rayo, simplemente tocando... A ver, efectivamente. Tendría que saltar menos. Pero qué pedazos de cabrones, tío. Me cago en vuestras muelas. Pero si llega hasta aquí, hasta donde estoy yo. Que también tiene inercia. ¿Ves? Voy a hacer esto. Porque luego también viene ahora. Tiene que ser ahora. No, aquí no hace falta que me agache, ¿no? Sé que hay margen, sé que hay margen. Ahora tiene que ser. Hostia, vaya saltito, Es que no me fío nada,
The old man's friends actually seemed quite happy when I made it through. We might have a winner after all, said the man in black. It's no Killbot 3000, but you can almost see the fire in its eyes. A couple of days
Que por
later,
cierto,
the
15
old lady
pavazos,
said she
la
had
mesa del
surprised
Indiana Jones, 15
my
pavazos
own
que
room.
cuesta. Poca
She
broma.
also wanted to play me some music. I wasn't
15
sure
pavazos la
after
mesa
what
de Indiana
Mr.
Jones.
Silton had shown me.
Joder, ya vale cara la licencia, Sí, puede parecer muñeco Lego, sí.
As if music wasn't amazing enough, the old lady then bought me a television set.
Esta música,
Everything I could.
sale en un juego, de un coche, Milky Town me parece que se llama. Un juego de arcade, que ibas disparando una lata de aceite contra otros coches, y salía un gato, y tienes que ir pintando las pistas, ¿vale? Me parece que se llama Milky Town, o algo así. Que está brutalísimo.
I played games at every chance I could. I took on everyone. I was unstoppable. I had enjoyed music, film, and television. But to me, video games really were the highest art form.
No sé, tío, pero 15 pavos por una mesa, tío, me parece exagerado. Ni que fuese un juego, tío, ¿sabes? Sí, el de pintar Tokio, París, Nueva York, etcétera. Efectivamente. Aprovechar ahora que me he acordado. Las raquetas se han modernizado un poco, en el Pong. Toma, toma. Toma, 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 toma. ¡Oh! Venga, hombre, ¿qué tongo es este? Madre mía, chaval. Voy a probar a ver si con la cruceta sí, con la cruceta también vale, pero da igual, Los pasos aquí, esto te hace falta un analógico y tampoco es que sea una ayuda, Un potenciómetro, me parece. ¿Cómo se llamaban, tío? Eran unos discos que llevaba. ¿Qué ha pasado? Me acaba de chorizar un punto, pero por la cara, vamos. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué tal,
Heather's
chicos?
birthday was a couple of months later. Her mum and dad had bought her a camera. And
Sí, yo creo que fue
arranged
uno
a day out by the sea,
de los primeros
so that Heather
contactos que
could
tuve
take
con
some
consolas
photos,
domésticas.
although I really don't think she wanted any pictures of me. When the old man asked the professor if he wanted to go, he frowned and said, "I can't believe you want to spend time with that thing. It could destroy the world." I wasn't sure what he meant, but the old man just smiled and said, "That's what you said about the Game Boy. Anton, how about you?" "I don't think so," said Mr. Deck. "The last time I got in that car, Barry crashed us into a branch of Woolworths. I never would have gone into Woolworths."
Para que os hagáis una idea, este juego cuesta lo mismo que la mesa del Indiana Jones. Cuesta 15 pavos también. O sea, dices, joder, tío, ¿cómo os habéis pasado,
So
no?
Mr. Silton drove, and Alice came along for the fresh air. I enjoyed being outside. although the old lady kept telling me to be careful of the rickety old walkways. It felt like she was telling me off.
Si la vaca es fácil.
I think she was just concerned.
La vaca, bueno, la vaca me lo hice yo. Ayer estuve jugando y me hice la vaca a la primera. Me hice la vaca a la primera en dificultad hardcore. Me la solé.
As the old man and I stood on the cliff tops, I could see something in the distance. I wasn't sure what it was, so I asked the old man. He said it was a battleship that had sunk in the 1940s. But he looked so sad when he spoke about war.
Eso es un fallo que tiene el juego.
I didn't see what happened.
Es un
but
fallo,
the metal
no,
platform Heather was climbing on had
no
collapsed.
se valía.
She was safe, even if the rocks she was on looked very dangerous.
Esa no se vale.
The tide was rising, and we didn't know how long the Coast Guard was going
Próximo
to
sábado
be,
me la
so I
cepillo.
offered to climb down and get her. The old man agreed, but said I should be careful,
Tramposa.
as Heather doesn't have infinite lives, like I
Esa,
do.
esa nada, tú sabes lo de... Si la encesto a la primera, no sé qué, y lleva el tío 29 pelotas ahí. Ahora sí se vale, esta no valía, esta, otra vez, igual, pues es lo mismo. ¡Uah! Mira, esto ya me suena a The New Zealand Story casi, con estos saltos tan... tan medidos. Ahora que tengo que ir al revés. Me han mangado. Yo pensaba que eso era un puente. Seguro que es un puente,
Heather was unconscious, and her leg was broken. So I picked her up as gently as I could. I decided it would be best if I didn't run the rest of the way.
La dificultad que estoy yo, más que pegar, lo que haces es humillarte. Que ahora no puedo correr. Te arrastras. Yo no lo sabía, tío. Ah, bueno, hay punto de control. Bien, bien, bien. Vale. No, otra vez. Otra vez he ido demasiado pronto.
An ambulance had arrived by the time I had made it back to the cliff top. The medics made sure Heather was okay, and then took her off to hospital. A few days later, we all went to see how she was doing. She was fine, but would have to wear the cast for a couple of months.
El girobot. Estamos más mosqueados. Buenísima.
Once Heather got to know me, we became good friends. We enjoyed the same films and TV. She was also annoyingly good at some of my favorite games. After a while, she became very interested in how I worked. Soon she knew as much about me as the old man did, if not more. We spent the next couple of months visiting other countries, as when it came to teaching me things, the old man always liked to pick interesting locations. He had explained the basics of mathematics to me at the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Taught me history in the dead of night, surrounded by mysterious giant stones. And even showed me science in action high up in a hot air balloon. This is why I was surprised when the old man took me to a restaurant. It was nice, but it seemed very somber compared to the previous grand locations. He said he just wanted to chat, and this was nice and quiet. Plus it was his favorite place to eat. We talked about life, the universe, Douglas Adams, everything really. When I asked him why were we
La
here,
música está muy guapa,
why did we exist, he just smiled and said, life is like a game, just don't expect to be finished anytime soon. When I looked puzzled, he
Esta
said,
música creo que
well,
suena
everyone
en
should have a
Coffee,
purpose.
en el
So
juego
I
este de
asked
Coffee
him,
Talk.
what's my
Creo que
purpose?
suena.
He thought for
Esta
a bit,
música también.
then said, so you want to be a real boy? Which just confused me even more. Eventually the old man said, for now, I want you to help clean things around the house. I must have looked unimpressed, as he then said, okay, I want you to clean
Que por cierto lo tradujeron,
1 million
Está traducido
things.
al castellano.
It didn't sound like the meaning of life, but I suppose you
Muchas
have to
gracias,
start somewhere.
Termanester. Gracias a tu suscripción voy a estirar el cuello un poco más. Así que... con cada suscripción estiro un poco más el cuello.
The next day,
A ver si conseguimos llegar al otro borde de la pantalla.
Install some more software, so he powered me down. When I came to, he said Mr. Silton had a joke for me,
32
and
meses,
that I
tío.
should pull his finger. I
Madre
don't
mía.
think I got the joke. So the old man powered me down again. This time when I pulled Mr. Silton's finger,
Bueno, no os hagas
I
eso.
got the joke. But it wasn't
No
very
tires
funny.
del dedo.
The old man then explained that he had installed a special chip which allowed me to clean away anything that was
Por la
broken.
carga del Astra.
He said it also tells me how many things are nearby, and how many smaller things are in a bigger thing. It all sounded very complicated, but he said all I really had to do was pause, and it would bring up all the information I needed. He then said he wanted me to find and clean all of the
Pero pausa aquí
items
no.
in the room. He told me there would be some chains to climb, but that would be nice and easy, as I just had to press up. He then finished by saying, when I had collected all the items, I
Esto
should
es
come back here.
esto va a ser el Donkey Kong. Yo creo de las handheld, ¿eh? ¿Cómo? Limpiador virgen. ¡Viva los logros! ¡Viva los logros! Espérate. ¡No! Y ya está, ¿no? Ya lo pilla todo, creo. ¿O qué? mira, todavía me queda más. Espérate. Ahora voy, familia. Ahora sí. Que no sé para qué sirve, porque no me ha dado ni logro ni nada, pero bueno.
The old man then asked the old lady Heather and I to follow him outside. I was happy too, as it was a lovely hot day. The old man said he was worried that Alice had been hoarding again. She had filled up a small barn with old bicycles and newspapers. Heather said this would be a perfect chance to properly test my new powers.
Poderes.
The old man thought for a second, then said, using the steptoe chip, I should find and clean at least 300 things. When we explained to Alice what we wanted to do, she seemed scared. But after the old lady kindly explained that, well, the barn was starting to smell, she said it would be okay. One last thing, said the old man. If you want to use a door, just push up. When I was about to enter the old barn, Mr. Silton said he had seen some mushrooms growing inside. He asked me to give him any that I found. He then winked, but I wasn't sure why.
Ah, pues sí, luego sí. Bueno, ya está todo eliminado, así que... No hay puertas, ¿no? Aquí para escapar, ¿o sí? Que igual sí que las hay, ¿eh? No lo veo yo. Mira las setas. ¿Qué decía? Tiene que faltar algo todavía. No, es igual, es la misma puerta. A ver.
The old man was very happy with everything that I had cleaned. But I think Mr. Silton was even more happy with his mushrooms.
Sus setas.
It wasn't the days getting shorter, or the evenings getting colder. It was the falling leaves that really made me feel sad. As we watched the trees blowing in the breeze, the old lady said, "The leaves must fall before the blossom comes." She had already explained the seasons to me, so for once, I actually understood. But it didn't make me feel any better. The old lady obviously had enough of my moping, and said, "Right, next week we're going to have a party."
El robot con un
For
bajón,
some
tú.
reason she insisted that we were all going to wear costumes. Heather was very excited and said, "I've got some perfect ideas."
Ostras, Resplandor. O Halloween. Mejor dicho. Esta es la música de Halloween, ¿no? De la peli.
It was terrifying. Everyone was dressed like someone else. I think I was meant to be some kind of pumpkin, as everyone kept shouting, "It's the Great Pumpkin."
Es que las confundo, ¿eh? La del Resplandor.
At least Mr. Silton was having
se puede
fun
decir
telling
Resplandor.
everyone his joke. And I suppose Heather's costume was quite flattering. After what seemed like forever, everybody left, and things got back to normal. Heather was allowed to watch a scary film before she went to bed, but I had to help Alice and Mr. Deck clean up.
Coming to get you, Barbara.
I wasn't happy about this, but the old man said if I was quick, then I could watch the end of the film with them.
O sea, tiene el
Alice was
robot aquí
vacuuming,
limpiando a saco.
and Mr. Deck was taking down the decorations.
Claro, es un
So I
robot, tío,
thought
¿qué
I
quieres?
should clean up the plates and glasses.
¿Qué quieres? A ver, ¿qué pasa si me acerco a la aspiradora? Nada, ¿no? Vale.
The ear-splitting sound was the fire alarm. As usual, Mr. Deck blamed Mr. Silton, saying he was probably smoking one
Cigarrillos
of
de
his
María.
jazz cigarettes.
¿Pero
But
qué
then the
dice?
professor appeared. He said that there was something burning in the kitchen. Alice looked confused, saying that she hadn't cooked anything since the morning. We were all surprised when Mr. Deck opened the oven. Inside was a large black cloak and a slightly burnt pair of men's underwear. Suddenly the old lady burst in. She looked terrified. She kept shouting, "There's someone on the roof." When we went outside, it slowly became obvious that it was Mr. Silton. He was completely naked and playing his guitar. He shouted down, "When I finish this song, I'm going to fly." The old lady said, "Oh my god, I know this one, there's only about 30 seconds left." The old man then quickly turned to me and said, "You know what to do."
Eso digo yo, ¿qué quiere que haga? Se me acaba el tiempo, tú. ¡No! Sí, se me va a acabar el tiempo, pero segurísimo, vamos. Es imposible que lo haga. Muy bien. Qué poco me gusta, contar el reloj. No. Joder, tío.
By the time I had made it up to the roof, Mr. Silton was beside the edge. I tried to calm him down, but he was acting even more bizarre than usual.
Salva el tonto del pueblo. Androide salva al tonto del pueblo.
Mr. Silton was fine. He said he had eaten some bad magic mushrooms.
Madre mía.
Part of me wondered why he hadn't doubled in size. Still,
¿Por qué no había
he was
duplicado
still
su
laughing
tamaño?
and joking with the paramedics. One of them said he looked like the world's worst clown. I don't think Mr. Silton liked that. So he told his own joke. But that just made the other paramedic call him Marshmallow Marso.
Otra vez el chiste
I
del dedo.
don't think he liked that either. But at least he was still in one piece.
Bueno, ahora... Final Fantasy. Mira, el único Final Fantasy que vamos a ver ya.
A month or so later, Heather and I were playing video games when the old man
Xbox.
said he wanted me to come outside. He said it had been a year since I had arrived, so he had a present for me. He placed the teddy bear high up on a wooden platform. He then told me I should try to pick it up.
¿Cómo quiere que pille eso? ¿Qué manda? ¿Una habilidad nueva o qué?
Try as I might,
Ah.
I couldn't reach the teddy
Me ha dado
bear.
el doble salto, ya verás.
However, I still don't understand what happened next.
No creo que salga a la luz. Pero que nos vamos a enterar seguro. Documentos como tal no creo. No sé, si se hacen públicos, los documentos sí, pero no creo, Lo que pasa es que alguno de los presentes filtrará. No hay dinero para comprar Take-Two, Olvidaros, no hay dinero para comprar Take-Two, ni Front Software tampoco, O sea... Ni... Joder, ¿cuál es la del Cyberpunk? Tampoco, O sea... La única que podría hacerlo sería Microsoft. La que podría afrontar alguna de esas compras. Pero no hay partner. O sea, no, olvidaros de eso. Y Square Enix... hombre, entre japoneses... Yo creo que... si Sony dice de comprar Square Enix, no va a ir Microsoft a meterles el dedo en el ojo. No va a ir a decirle, uy, qué monopolio, seguro, pero seguro que no pasa nada. Ya verás cómo se resuelve todo en 0, lo que no sea el precio que le va a costar. Alquilada tiene, todos los años la alquila, la está pagando, yo qué sé, 500 millones al año le pagará para los alquileres. No, todo, la tienen prácticamente secuestrada, o sea... La única diferencia va a ser eso, que a partir de ahora pues ya será oficial, ¿no? De que es suya. Porque hasta ahora le está pagando, ¿no? Los servicios anuales. Techu, olvídate. Olvídate, no tiene, vamos, ni para comprar, yo que sé, el tercio de lo que vale. Olvídate, no tiene dinero. Me parece incluso hasta poco, 15.000 millones por Square Enix. Digo por las IPs que tiene, pero bueno, se ha deshecho. Se ha deshecho de las europeas. Las ha vendido a precio de nada, de regalo. A lo mejor a cambio de las deudas que tuviera, o yo que sé, cualquier rollo de estos. No lo sé. Es posible, que haya sido también en parte por ese tema. Es posible que valga 15.000 millones, sí. Square Enix. Nah, pero si no van a decir nada, olvídate, no van a decir... Estoy convencidísimo que no van a decir nada. Pero segurísimo, vamos, de todas maneras, poco cambia. Todos los efectos ya la tiene comprar. La tiene alquilar. O sea... ¿qué cambiaría? Que comprase oficialmente ya Sony de una vez Square Enix. Ahora mismo, digo, no cambia nada. Si la tiene alquilar. O sea... es suya, vamos. Hace con ella lo que quiere, hoy día. Estoy flipando la cantidad de referencias que hay. Con el Horacio. O el Space Harrier. El Outrun.
Was I dead? Was this heaven? It sort of looked like the basement bathroom.
Que haga lo que quieran, tío.
It was the shoes the old man was going to give me. I thought I might as well put them on. They were just the right size.
Son los que me van a permitir hacer el doble salto.
The old man's hat fit me pretty good as well. I'm sure he wouldn't mind if I wore it. Amazingly, the shoes allowed me to defy gravity. Or maybe it was the hat.
¿Cómo? Qué bueno, mira el efecto de la corbata, tío, para saber que si estamos boca arriba o boca abajo. ¿Qué tal, Albert? Suena a cuando saltamos un soniquete, ¿eh? Hostia, qué mareo.
Part of the basement was flooded, and the stairs had collapsed. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew I wanted to get back upstairs.
Horace se llama el juego. No, si no conviene comprar Ubisoft. ¿Para qué queréis comprar Ubisoft si es multitotal, tío? Si todos los juegos salen en todas. No, otra cosa que no cambiaría nada. ¿Qué cambiaría comprando Microsoft Ubisoft? Y ya nos llegan todos los juegos suyos.
The gate was locked.
O sea, no tendríamos nada extra. Ahora me dice Sega que hay algunos títulos que no llegan y tal. Bueno, vale, lo puedo entender. Pero además ya Atlus se está empezando a publicar. Por cierto, se me ha olvidado en las noticias hablar del evento de Shin Megami Tensei al final. Me lo he saltado. Y quería haber hablado de él. ¿Y ahora qué hago? Esto no me vale a mí, ¿eh? No, pues no puedo volver tampoco. Ah, bueno, sí puedo volver, espérate. Claro. Ahora se me acaba de... Pero... Vaya piñazo, tú. Que no le van a poner pegas, hombre. Si esto de las pegas... A ver, no le pueden poner pegas por... También es normal, ¿vale? Es normal que no le pongan pegas. Tú ten en cuenta que las pegas que le están poniendo a Microsoft es por el tema del tamaño de la empresa. La magnitud que tiene. No es lo mismo que Apple compre algo, o que Microsoft compre algo, o que Amazon compre algo, que lo compre Pablito Terrores Company, ¿vale? Pablito Terrores Company, por su magnitud, pues tiene permitido, digamos, ciertas compras. Tampoco es normal que el Embracer Group, o por ejemplo, la otra, la China, que está comprando todo, la empresa china esta que lo compra absolutamente todo, hagan lo que les salga a las narices y nadie les mire nada. Porque lleva una magnitud también, Tencent, efectivamente, Tencent tiene una magnitud que es para que le miren cada adquisición que hace. Lo que pasa es que estas empresas compran microempresas, no microempresas, sino que hacen pequeñitas compras, pero claro, hacen 200 pequeñitas compras, que al final es un comprón lo que hacen, ¿no? Pero claro, lo compran... Se compran el juego a trozos, ¿vale? Lo que pasa es que Microsoft dice, no, yo me compro ya la Ultimate Collection. Me compro la Ultimate, que viene ya con todo, y ese es el problema, que se ha ido a comprar la Ultimate. Si hubiera comprado, yo qué sé, las IPs de Blizzard, por separado. No, ha adquirido la IP World of Warcraft. No hubiera habido problemas. Ha comprado World of Warcraft simplemente y ya está. Luego, no, he comprado ahora Diablo, ¿sabes? Ya que cabrón, mira, Microsoft tampoco hubiera habido problemas. ¿Qué pasa? Que eso va reduciendo el precio. Si se hubiera quedado ya al final con Call of Duty, pues tampoco habría problema. Pero el tema es que ha ido a por todo el lote. Y también es una empresa muy gorda y no se puede comparar. Por mucho que ellos quieran, Sony en consolas es la hostia en verso. De magnitud, digo, y luego la pasta que genera también en cine les va medio bien. Y con las series parece que está teniendo un repunte, que no es ninguna pequeñita, pero que no se puede comparar. Tendré más que ver la magnitud de una empresa y la otra. Por eso le están mirando tanto a Microsoft en el tema. Pero en consolas, la gorda es Sony. O sea, la empresa gorda en consolas es Sony. Pero sin discusión. Junto con Nintendo, ¿no? O sea, si la otra es la pobrecita. De ahí viene todo el tema, ¿no? Toda la llorera. Tío, no estoy... No sé qué voy a hacer, con esta fase. Hasta luego, Barton. Que vuelva. Aquí. No sé qué hacer, con la jodida fase esta, tío, en serio. O sea, esto. Me electrifico. Aquí también. Justo del otro lado. Aquí. Uf. Pero aquí ya no puedo hacer nada. En las cajas que suba por la primera y salte. A ver. Aquí dices. Ah, ojo, ojo, ojo. No. ¿Aquí que salte? ¿Aquí? No puede ser, tío. Ah, que me deje caer. Vale, vale, vale. Joder, si lo pone con las flechas, tío. Es verdad, tío. Madre mía, pues es cierto, tío. Sí, 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 sí. Ya lo he visto con las flechas. Te explota la mente, tío, en este juego. Y ahora igual, tendré que usar aquí un poco el tema. ¿The fuck?
How long had I been asleep? Months? Years? I was so confused. Where had everybody
Esto
gone?
es el Final Fight, tú. Esto es el Final Fight, la fase del Final Fight. O parece. En la que se te caían las lámparas.
I was slightly scared. This was the first time I had been outside on my own.
Sí, no, estaba un poco obtuso y me lo estaba marcando muy bien con el tutorial. Pum, 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 pum. 2001, una odisea en el espacio. Que el otro día preguntaba que si era el monolito del 2001. Brutal.
I knew what
Las
I had
referencias.
to do. This had to be my purpose. I would clean a million things, so I could become a real boy. Whatever that meant.
Esa fase es, tío, esa fase. Mola porque tiene muchos guiños, tío, el jodido juego. ¿Por qué tarda tanto en recolectar alguna basura, tío? Hay algunas que les paso simplemente por encima y la va pillando. Y otras aquí tienes que estar parándote. Esto, por ejemplo, los bidones. Te corta todo el rollo, porque podrías ir a saco. Hombre, ya no corre como Naruto, ya se sujeta el sombrero, por lo menos. Por ahí se oye alguien pidiendo ayuda.
The screaming was coming from one of the bedrooms, but the stairs were blocked by a wall of fire. The people screaming turned out to be a man, a woman, and their children. They were confused and terrified. At first the man looked like he was ready to fight me, but after I convinced them that I was there to help, he calmed down. There was no way I could carry them all at once, so the children went first.
Pues hubiera molado, hubiera molado un remake de Final Fight. O una nueva entrega, joder. Pero para que veas la magnitud de las cantidad de IPs que puedes llegar a tener, ¿no? Capcom. Y que se la pela todo 3000. A lo mejor no quiere invertir pasta, tío, en un proyecto así. Una pena, ¿no? Hola, Texus.
I dropped the children off at the front door and promised them that I would be back with their parents.
I'll be back. Lo va a ser que no.
The fire was getting much worse, so the woman went next.
Mal pinta para el padre el tema, Hostia, vale. Tengo que pegar un saltito justo. ¿Ves? Me he quemado. Ay. ¿Me puedo intentar a ver si desde aquí? Ahí está. Viendo el percal. Ya sé que no es... lo estoy haciendo bien, pero... Estoy mirando ya que estoy aquí. Pues esto me va a tocar hacerlo con el padre, ya verás. Este recorrido.
When we got to the front door, all the woman said was, "Thank you, please hurry."
Joder, chaval, cada vez veo menos.
Not while people were in trouble.
Cada vez veo menos, Oh, ya no puedo ir por aquí. ¿Ves cómo me va a tocar hacer otro recorrido al final? Vaya. Este hombre está fatal ya.
By the time I managed to get back, the man was unconscious. I had to pick him up quickly, as I could tell the house was going to collapse at any moment.
Oh, perdón. Y ahora no podemos correr, tío. Con este tenemos que ir y... no me da tiempo. Uy.
I helped the family set up a tent so they had somewhere to stay. The kids were excited as they got to camp outside, but I think they knew they had just lost their home. When I mentioned my quest to clean a million things, the man said I should look through the rubble of the house, as they had no use for it. So, when everyone was making dinner, I looked through the wreckage. There wasn't anything I could clean, but to my astonishment, I found a TV set and a games console. With a bit of fiddling I was able to get them to work. So I sat playing games with the kids until their parents said it was bedtime. As we talked, the man opened a bottle of wine. I asked what had happened. Why was everything so ruined? The man looked at the woman, then the woman sighed and said, "There was a war." "Yes, a war," said the man. One side of the planet attacked the other, and before we knew, it was all over. Everything gone. Everything destroyed. "Well, it's late," said the woman. "We should really get some sleep. Help yourself to anything you need, and we'll see you tomorrow."
¿También se duerme el robot o qué?
In the morning, I asked the man if he knew what had caused the fire that had destroyed their house. The man smiled. "Crap old house, bad wiring, constant electrical surges from the unreliable power plant. Take your pick." He said, if we had the money, we'd move to the mainland. But we can barely feed ourselves, let alone buy a new house, so for now we're left here with the rest of the scum. But he did say I should head to the mainland, as there would be plenty there for me to clean, and a better quality of rubbish. The man said, "Before the war, my lovely wife used to be a fisherman. Fisherwoman? Fishing person? I used to catch fish," interrupted the woman, "and, seeing as you saved us all from a fiery end, maybe you would like to borrow my boat to get to the mainland." I was a little scared, but then they gave me some captain software, and I was an old salty sea dog within minutes.
Vale, ya continuaría por ahí, pero antes de ir para allá me he dejado aquí cosas de pillar, ¿eh? ¿Y aquí qué? Hostia, puedes saltar y acelerar en el aire. Esto es súper útil, ¿eh? Porque habrá veces que me toca hacer eso, ¿eh? Saltar y acelerar. Alguna vez me tocará, ya verás. Ya pillé otra vez, voy a dar la vuelta aquí. Ya le voy pillando el truco, al juego. De la hostia. O sea, a lo mejor tenía que haber saltado más para llegar. No, mira, llego igual. ¿Qué tal, Farias? Vale. ¿Y aquí podemos entrar? No. Sí, sí podemos entrar, sí. Sí, verás por dónde hemos venido. Por un lado quiero avanzar, pero por otro lado no me quiero dejar nada sin pillar, o sea que... Voy a ver si subo arriba del todo. Y salto hacia la derecha. Vamos allá. No, así no. Alguna forma habrá de llegar, a ver si por aquí.
I was surprised to see an old man, but not as surprised as he was. It turned out he was blind. He was
Hostia,
kneeling on
este
the
es
floor with his hand in a drain. When
el
I asked
Charles,
him what he was
¿no?
doing, he said his cat had crawled into the pipes,
El
and he was
músico,
trying
tío.
to get her out.
Ray Charles,
He
¿no?
was very happy
Parece
when
que
I
es.
offered to help. He said there was no way we could reach her from here, so if I was willing, I could make my way through the sewers and get her from the other end. He said he would turn off the water for as long as possible, but I would have to run, as the pipes would soon fill up again. I happily agreed. So he gave me a key. He said this will open all the sewer gates. Go through here, then down the ladder, and through the big door
Yo
at
he
the
visto
bottom.
lo de los accesorios de la tostadora y tal, pero no llegará, tío. Mira dónde está el saxofón. No nos va a llegar aquí eso. Como tantas cosas que no llegan, tío. Joder, si está, mira, Gary Gamel. Bueno. No entrar, dice aquí.
I better run.
Sí, pues lo llevo clarísimo, tú. Vale. Ahora ha sido entendido. Tus muelas.
I better run.
No, y hay que saltar además y me estoy dando cuenta y no pararte. Vale, tela, tío. He pasado, Run. Pam, pam, pam. Estoy corriendo más de lo que debo. ¡Oh! Otra vez. No, pues... Ah, qué susto, tío. No. Sí, pero este juego, imagínate, sacarte toda la... Mira por arriba también lo que hay. Sacarte toda la basura, ¿sabes? Esta recolectada del juego. Que seguro que hay un logro por ello. Ya se mayor sonido. Está complicado, este. Total, no sé por qué nos hace daño el agua, porque tampoco... Porque... Es un robot, ¿y qué? ¿Cómo lo hago, tío? Voy a tener que saltar justo hasta el... No, tengo que saltar a la parte de abajo. Bueno, más o menos. A ver si cojo mejor timing ahora. No, ya voy lento. Uf, menos mal. Cabrón, ¿qué le he dado a saltar, tío? Si le he dado a saltar. Muy bien, ¿eh? Creía que no llegaba, tío. Menos mal que no hay vidas. Si hubiera un límite de vidas aquí, te puede dar todos los sudores, tío. Creo que ahí no tenía ni que haberme parado. Tenía que haberlo hecho el tirón. No, 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 no. Muy bien, ¿eh? ¿Cómo quiere que pillemos todo eso, tío? Yo sé que me puedo parar a pillar eso, pero es un poco joder.
I found the old man's cat. She was fine, if a little confused. I was horrified. It looked like me. But it shambled around like something from the film we watched on
la momia. Que nos mata, ¿no? Que nos mataba. ¡Uy, va! Que voy con el gato en la mano. Cabrón. Estoy en el mismo lado otra vez, tío. No puede ser. No puede ser, tío. Lo estoy haciendo al revés, yo creo.
I better run.
Sí, sí, ya lo sé, pero otra vez. Ahora con el gato, tío. En serio, no puede ser. O sí. Yo creo que me he metido en la puerta que no era y la estoy liando. Ya aprovecho, ya lo pillo. ¿Ves? Ha pillado un poco ahí. Muelas. Bueno, estoy aquí otra vez. Me voy para acá. Ahora sí.
The man was happy to have his cat back. He looked so content with her sat
Gato
on his
anaranjado.
lap. I told him about the thing I saw, but he just laughed and said, "Those bastard robots, they're always getting up through the pipes. Don't worry though, it'll never get through the big doors. If I had my way, we'd have blown up the lot of them when we had the chance." I wasn't sure what he meant, but I decided now wouldn't be the best time to tell him I was a robot. The man laughed and said, "Don't worry, I know who you are," and told me that he knew the old man. As we chatted, the man brewed himself some tea. He said that he had
no me digas que va a hacer lo de Frankenstein, tío. Toma, que eres un puro y le enciende el dedo.
Strangely, he smiled at this thought. He always did me right, he said. When I had my accident, the old man said he would look after me. And he did. He always made sure I had enough money, and he let me move into this old pumping station on his land. Which reminds me, I have something here for you. He rummaged around behind a cupboard. Then he continued saying, the old man wanted you to have this when you were old enough, but fate wouldn't allow it. He passed me a large box. It was empty.
Estaba
I
vacía la
thought
caja.
about pretending to be excited, but the man said, wait a minute. It's empty, isn't it? He slumped back in his chair. I was robbed a few months ago, he said, almost in a whisper. It's strange, they took practically anything metal, but left loads of food and a brand new saxophone. The man looked sad, so I thought I would try to change the subject. I told him about my quest to clean a million things. This at least made him smile. He said I was welcome to go back through the pipes anytime I wanted, as there were loads of old things in there that could be cleaned away.
Sí, pero... o sea, no. Me voy. La música, las referencias musicales que tiene el juego son brutales, No sé, te digo, me quiero volver a lo del... a lo del puerto. Pero es que tiene pinta de que hay historia para un lado y para otro, En esto nos hace falta una llave. Ah, ¿ya la tengo? Mira la consola. Como es la SNES, ¿no? Como dicen ahora, la SNES. Una SNES. ¿En serio? Mira, Fernando Martín. Me lo haría,
The gate was locked. I would need a key to open it.
¿Cómo lo vamos a hacer esto? Me voy. Voy para la izquierda, a ver si hay un puerto ahí. ¿O qué? Pues 15 pavos vale el juego nada más, 15 pavetes. Lo mismo que la mesa de Indiana Jones. Mira, también tenemos la llave de esto. No sé por qué me da la impresión de que no tengo lo necesario para continuar. Ah, sí, sí, tengo, sí. Pensaba que no era una pared esto. Y aquí no, aquí sí que no, tío. Tirándome, quizás, ¿no? Dejándome caer por el otro lado. No, tampoco. Al revés, quizás. A ver. Tengo ganas, del Resident. ¿Qué pasa? ¿No pilla la basura esta o cómo? No la pilla, tío. ¿Cómo voy a hacer esto? ¿Tirándome desde allí o...? Encima no pilla la basura, ya está. Todos los boom me los como yo, tío. Te lo digo en serio, Pero todos los fallos me los como yo. Aquí me falta a mí una habilidad, Lo tengo más claro. Doble salto, cualquier cosa. Un imán. Vete a saber. Un botón que no he pulsado todavía. Una apuesta. Me voy a otra isla.
I took the fisherman's boat to the mainland. The fisherman was right. Everything was in pieces. Everything had been destroyed.
Everything had been destroyed.
I docked the boat in some ruins. They must have once been a town.
Musicote, Hostia, y aquí porque no se encarama, porque está rota la pared, ya empezamos con las tonterías. Ahora ya no, en la física no va igual aquí, porque... Toma, castañazo.
I was confronted by a lovable fat old dog. He almost looked pleased to see me. Suddenly, 3 men appeared holding large guns. Or at least 2 men and what looked to be a pregnant woman. Incredibly, it was Mr. Silton.
¿En serio?
I thought you'd been shut down, he said. I mean, it's been years. I'm not really sure what happened, I replied. I then told him about me cleaning a million things. He laughed and said, nothing changes. He then showed me into what was surprisingly a really nice house. Please excuse my husband, said the pregnant lady. I'm Edwina, but everyone calls me Eddie. I believe you know this idiot. And that's Preston. We've met, said the small man. It was me that delivered that thing, remember? All you used to deliver was weed, mumbled Mr. Silton as he put the dog dish on the floor. And I was there that night, when this twat was off his face on mushrooms. Thanks for letting me and the dog stay, by the way. Yeah, well, we like the dog, said Mrs. Silton. And I suppose I've got you to thank for us meeting. What with you giving Barry those dodgy magic mushrooms? She pulled out an old photograph. It was one that Heather had taken the night I had saved Mr. Silton.
Joder, cómo estaba, tío. Y estaba gris. Casi como yo.
It reminded me of everyone else, so I asked what had happened to them. Mr. Silton said Alice had a small place in the countryside. The professor had holed up in one of the old man's factories. Mr. Deck was, believe it or not, now a presenter on the only state television channel. And Heather and her mother lived on a government compound where they both worked. I asked about the old man, surprised that Mr. Silton hadn't mentioned him. He's dead, said Mr. Silton. Sorry, I thought you knew. Anyway, said Mr. Preston, I thought you said that robot thing found the mushrooms for you, in that hoarder's manky old barn. Mr. Silton looked embarrassed. Well, said Mrs. Silton, I guess we've got you to thank for getting us together then. Time for bed, I think, said Mr. Silton. Make yourself comfy, and we'll see you in the morning.
A ver si jugamos algún minijuego. Ya te lo digo. Oh, sí. Esto podría ser cualquier juego de naves de la época. Pero creo que era un juego de Nintendo, me parece, que iba de esto. Que además es un personaje de Smash Bros. Creo que iba de así más o menos. Podría ser el guiño.
The next day, I thought it might be a good time to ask about the war. Judging by the look on everyone's faces, it wasn't. Well, the war, said Mr. Silton. Barry, interrupted his wife. Can I see you for a minute? And dragged Mr. Silton out of the room, leaving me with Mr. Preston. All of a sudden, Mr. Silton appeared. How about a tune-up, he said. Mrs. Silton started to make some food, and Mr. Preston was playing with the dog, leaving me to chat with Mr. Silton. I said that I really wanted to see everyone else, but Mr. Silton said that it wouldn't be that easy. Traveling now, especially for a robot, is complicated. Go back to the house, you could even do some cleaning. Wait there and I'll work out a way to get you to each of them. I told him that I couldn't get into the main house because the hallway ceiling had collapsed. I have just the thing, said Mr. Silton, as he pulled some sort of card out of his pocket. If you can get into the caves under the church next door to the house, you can use this security pass to get into the old man's laboratories. You can get into the main house that way. I was so excited, I would be able to get back into my old room. I said thanks, and made my way to the front door. Also, I think you might be able to help us out, said Mr. Silton, but we'll meet up back at the old man's house in a couple of days. You head there and we'll see you soon. The door was locked, but from behind it Mr. Silton shouted, "Go back to the old man's house."
¿Me está diciendo que vuelva otra vez a donde hemos venido? ¿Puede ser? Y pues... como no haya un atajo por aquí... Passports.
I wasn't sure what to do with this machine. I wasn't sure what to do with this machine.
Llave de puerta.
The huge door was sealed shut. I wasn't sure how to get inside. I wasn't sure what to do with this machine.
Pensaba que no, pero sí que podemos volver, sí.
I took the fisherman's boat
Un
to
partido
the
igualado,
old man's
por lo que se ve.
estate.
Me encanta la música, tío. Muy relajante, tío. Me recuerda a Minecraft. Incluso. No es aquí donde eso, ¿no? Donde la casa ruinosa. Vamos a ir al sitio. A ver si me dan la mejora, ya lo dejo. Puede que sea aquí, a ver. Sí, ¿no? No. Oh, sí, espérate, a ver. No, me va a mí que no. Me parece que no, ¿eh? Vaya leche. Esta es la del ciego. Esta tampoco. Hostia, pues no sé dónde tengo que ir ahora, ¿eh? A ver si es aquí o qué. Aquí me faltaba una llave, creo. No creo que sea aquí.
As I walked
sí,
through the
mira.
old church ruins, I was surprised to hear Mr. Silton calling me. He said he had forgotten to give me something, and the church's community hall would be the perfect place to try it out. As soon as we walked into the hall, Mr. Silton said he had a present for me. It was a pair of Atlas gloves. They made me think of the old blind man with the cat, and
O
his
sea que le
stolen
robó los
Atlas
guantes
gloves.
este. Yo flipo, tío.
I wonder if Mr. Silton knew how lucky he was to still have them with a glove thief around. Mr. Silton asked me to try the gloves on and start chucking things around. But not him. He was very clear about that.
A mí no me
Mr.
lances, dice.
Silton suggested we clean the hall. Of course I knew when he said we, he meant me. But I was happy to try out my new gloves. He said I should clear everything off of the basketball court and put the things on the floor either side. I fiddled with the settings for a bit, but when Mr. Silton saw I was having trouble, he produced a small manual. He explained that pressing down and X would pick a thing up. X would then throw the thing, and if I wanted to place it on the floor, I should again press down and X. He looked more and more confused as he read all this, but eventually he finished by saying, "Well, I hope that made more sense to you than it did to me."
Sí, pero no es esto. Yo lo que creo que quiere que lancemos será la pelota de baloncesto. Quiero pensar, ¿eh? Joder. No llega, tío. Es que no va a llegar en la vida, ¿eh? Saltando quizás. Buenísima, tío. Vale, o sea, tengo que limpiar toda la cancha de baloncesto por lo que veo. Y hay que dejar de apretar el botón hasta que al final... Ahí no. Voy a dejar las pelotas hasta el final. Ya las quito del medio, venga. Joder, tú. En el peor sitio, ¿eh?
Mr. Silton sounded slightly annoyed when he said, "Come on, take all the stuff off the basketball court and chuck it either side."
Esta cancha estaba vacía antes, tío. Yo es que estoy flipando.
"Let's see what else these gloves can do," said Mr. Silton as he flicked through the manual. He actually looked quite excited when he explained that holding X while walking into or under a falling thing would allow me to catch it. I must admit, I was then really happy when he suggested we make it a game and I try to catch 10 basketballs.
ver si lo pillo cuando cae. Vete a la porra, tío, en serio. 1. No, tiro. No me fastidies.
Next, Mr. Siltrant suggested we make it a real game and see how quickly I could score 10 baskets. I enjoyed this so much. It felt just like the good old days.
Hombre, tanto
Except
como una
Mr. Siltrant
bendición.
wasn't as forgiving as the old man.
Me ha gustado el juego, sí. Pero vamos, a mí me gustan muchos juegos, La noticia sería que no me gustara. A ver cuánto tardo, dice meter 10. Ah, cabrón. Nos están poniendo aquí al otro lado. Que este ha habido que comprarlo, O sea, me ha gustado como para comprarlo, imagínate. Este no me lo han regalado, No he pedido el código al final. Digo, un domingo, tío. Ganas de... ¿sabes? Me apetece jugarlo ya.
When I'd scored 10 baskets, Mr. Silton gave me what he called a high five.
High five.
He said I now knew everything about the gloves and I should be able to continue through the basement of the church into the house. When I asked him if he was coming with me, he just laughed and said they would catch up with me in the main hall.
No, hombre. No entro a valorar esas cosas. De todas maneras ya lo voy a dejar aquí, O sea, iba a echar un ratejo. ¿Sabes? Pero un ratejo, quería jugar 1 hora. Llevo 19.000 cachivaches y dice que tiene que pillar 1.000.000. O sea que... Madre mía, resurrecciones de Lázaro. 78. Llevo 2 mejoras de no sé cuántas. Está muy guapo el juego, la verdad. Logros 110 puntos de 1000. Madre mía. Pero que hay jefes y todo, Me aprendo a tocar la batería. Está guapo, está muy guapo el juego. Me gusta mucho. Recomendado. Recomendado totalmente. Me voy. Os dejo en paz. Hasta luego. Chao. Chao, chao.